Okay.
So welcome everyone on behalf of the Poetry Society of New Hampshire's virtual series. And tonight we're doing a reading with Tim Mayo. I'm David Bannock. I'm a consulting editor with Touchstone. And Melissa S., who you can see in one of these little boxes here, is the editor-in-chief in Touchstone. We encourage you and invite you to submit your best. We're open until September 1st. But we're pleased and delighted and honored to have Tim Mayo with us today. Tim Mayo's poems and reviews have appeared in the American Journal of Poetry, in the Barrow Street Journal, in Narrative Magazine, in Poetry International, River Styx, and Salamander, among many other places. His poems have received 10 Pushcart Prize nominations. He's got 3 full-length collections of poetry and a chapbook. His first full-length collection was called Kingdom of Possibilities, published by Mayapple Press in 2009. His second was called Thesaurus of Separation, published by Phoenicia Publishing in 2016. He had a chapbook called Notes to the Mental Hospital Timekeeper, 2019, from Kelsay Books. And we're very excited that his third collection, Muscle Memories of Love and Disaster, is being published by Bainbridge Island Press in March of this year. It's out now. And Tim will be providing information in the chat later about how you can get your hands on one of those. He lives in Brattleboro, Vermont, where he works at the Brattleboro Retreat, which is a mental institution, and is the founding member of the Brattleboro Literary Festival. Ilya Kaminsky said of his new collection, Muscle Memories of Love and Disaster, that there's more than grief in these poems. They tell us how a life is carried stubbornly, tenderly in the body, as the lyric moment glides from still life landscapes and winter woods to hospital rooms, rehab corridors, and how life can still be remade with meaning via the music and clarity of poetry. So welcome, help me welcome Tim Mayo.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for hosting this, and I want to thank the Poetry Society of New Hampshire for arranging it. I'll be reading mostly from Muscle Memories of Love and Disaster, which I'll just sort of hold this up in front of my face so that people can see what it looks like. And I'll put in the chat a little later one of the ways, a couple of the ways that you can buy the book if you so want. The first book the first poem that I want to read is not in the book. It's a fairly recent poem, so you people are my guinea pigs. It's called The Carpenter's Apprentice. Once in the errant blindness of my youth, I worked for a builder. I was less than any other apprentice, more a gopher with pockets in a canvas apron. I hadn't yet learned that beneath the awkward pounding of my hammer, there was a larger sense of making, a sense that went deeper than the nail bites into the wood. I never thought that the province of studs and joists could hold together a bigger measure through an unseen friction, hold it in a way that made believers in the invisible sing. I only knew the builder wasn't much older than I, as I watched him spout his folksy old saws with a sagacious nod as if he knew a secret known only to a select few who had lived the rough and tumble life he never had. He had ambitions, though, tempered by the sky, the winds and grizzled whiskers of the weather, and a dream that he could succeed in a world filled with the cold snows of winter and aching hands that hammered together whatever house he built. Still, I couldn't see myself in the hierarchy of how his men measured themselves, their need to settle their worth by their labor, and the proud endurance of a day's work. then dream a small practical dream of work, family, and daily bread. Dreamless and lost in my own ineptitude, I thought I was a poet and above all that. But I had no eye to saw a straight line, nor a homemaker girdled in her frilled apron. No kids puking on the alphabet building blocks I saw in my boss's house. I couldn't even hold my hammer right, slung by my side like a six-gun. My aching, empty hands held only the sharp inadequacy of words I couldn't find among the nails. The next, now I'll start to read from the book, and the first poem I want to read is to a friend of Susan Roney O'Brien's and mine. Her name is Patricia Farnioli. She was a poet in New Hampshire, and this poem was written while she was dying of cancer and in a nursing home in New Hampshire, while I was recovering from some accident in a nursing home in Vermont. But I sent this to her. And there's two words that I want to, two French words I used that I'll give you the meanings of before I start the poem. And the first one is soulagement, which means relief, and salut, which has two meanings. It's used as a salutation, and it also means salvation. Meditation on your final moment, for Pat Farnioli. For me, maybe that moment is a heightened state, slackened to a palatable point where body and brain can balance before the end. Or is it possibly just a state of immense relief? No, it must be more, although I'd settle for that. Any old port in the storm, as they say. But for you, the poet in me wants something more out of body, where when it fans its feathers before your eyes, your jaw just drops and you're there. In some stories, that must be how it happens. An affirmation of the Holy Spirit extends its wing like the hand of God. But in the flesh and blood world, a bird before your eyes, and bingo, you suddenly bounced off the bottom of your life, ascending into the air of who knows where? Not a chance. So let us then think of the practical how. The mechanics to move you to your end without needing some bureaucratic benediction, some absolution, or a passport for your pale ghosts of regret. Maybe all you need is just a gentle, saline solution of generosity, flushing the blood right out of your veins. I mean, why not? It feels right in its medically non-judgmental soulagement. The cool liquid diffusing the fever that was the passionate red of your life's discomfort. Your salut in all its meanings as you greet the penultimate experience of your life. The soul, I hate to say the word, twisted with the wishes and wants of this world. I hate to say it because nothing's immortal except the stone base of the universe. The soul, as your seeing eye dog, sensing everything you can't, wants its way to where the flesh isn't in the way. Christ, how did I get here? Talking like this. I'm not a believer. Yet I think of you now, only you and not myself, my own less pain-racked body aching in the dark with its muscle memories of love and disaster. I think of you reaching for this timeless moment, and I ask, why not pass these last moments of your life in that grace of letting go, that anti-struggle to faith? But I know you're waiting for some ecstatic flash of mind to happen before the big sigh you only have to exhale once lifts you to the wherever you've always wanted to be. Who cares whether it's real or not? Won't that breath be worth it? And my next poem is sort of a poem that could be about, let's say, retirement. I am retired now, but when I wrote this, I was not. So here it is. It's entitled Another Man's Treasure. Out of the boredom of rainy day Sundays, yet again I descend the dank cellar stairs. Today, beneath a teepee of skis, I discover a velvet sack in a plastic shopping bag, brittle with age. At first, I don't recall it. Then I recognize inside the sack the wooden cube-shaped urn which carried to this shore the ashes of my friend who now rests among the roots of a pear tree beside his brother's house. We didn't talk for years. Our friendship shattered into shards, then re-glued itself as if nothing had happened. When his widow brought him home, she couldn't bear to rid herself of the urn's burden, instead entrusting its emptiness to me. I hesitated, thinking of the sacrilege of my options. Driving it to the dump, or just lobbing it into any dumpster I might pass by. Now, peeling the sack's velvet lip, I see the chipped remains of red wax used to seal the lid. Lifting it, I see another white plastic bag inside, more durable than the first, its interior powdered with ash. Rummaging beneath it, I find the brass screws which had kept the box and my friend intact. And finally, this one last object, an off-white plaster of Paris medallion, a number stamped on its face and a date on the back, the year my friend died. I heft it once again in my hand, and in the cellar's quiet dimness, this portal to both our lives, I imagine an artifact whose purpose must have been a passport to the afterlife, a brittle document issued by some ancient Sumerian bureaucrat or priest and valid upon the bearer's expiration. And I picture myself as this archaeologist who has searched his whole life for some unaltered remnant of the past, a hard constancy he could hold on to. How are we doing for time here? Okay. This next poem, I'm happy to say, was just chosen or nominated rather for Best of the Net anthology. So I hope I get it. I've never been in the Best of the Net anthologies. The Steel Gray Nail. I'm looking at a gray photograph my foster sister sent me years ago, set in a small silver frame dulled by time and memory. In it, my foster parents pose, clothed in their different shades of gray clothes. Albert, in his bib overalls that were really faded blue from pushing wheelbarrows in the sun. A loosely defined laborer by trade, he raked clams in the waist-deep waters of the bay and pushed the weight of work, dirt, cement, whatever needed to be moved to the here and there of its final place, then lullabied me to sleep at night. Nanette, standing beside him in her charcoal and floral smock, which was actually indigo, with yellow flowers splattered like suns against her night-colored dress. Purse against her chest, controller of the one-income family, I left not by choice, but left nonetheless. What other worries and sad losses did she carry in her third bosom besides bills and bank books? But the photo is as silent as it is gray, as they stand gray-haired against the asbestos shingles of their house, which were, in fact, gray. And today I contemplate not the efficacy of their home's armor against the weather, but the world's unpredictable proclivities that shingles could not protect against, the invisible people who controlled our lives when at 5 I jumped on a pile of broken siding with all the rage of wanting to break things because I had to leave, and the shingler who pulled the steel gray nail from my foot, then carefully placed it in the small box of my heart, as if to say, remember this. So my next poem is a love poem. And it's entitled Big Nose Blonde, from Betsy. Last night, McNeil's burned to the ground, the brewery/bar at the bottom of the hill. I remember a beer McNeil used to make called Big Nose Blonde. I think of salt when I try to taste it in my mind. Not because it tasted salty, but my palate recalls how it was the perfect antidote for that bitter saltiness whenever some aftertaste of life curdled on my tongue. It would always be a recollection I couldn't bear to enunciate, almost like biting into the liquidness of its memory, trying to surround it with the hard consonants of courage. And I remember a word I never used. Whoops, let me see here. Hidden in a ribbed cage, which kept my heart from beating too fast, from tearing itself apart for a reason I couldn't fathom. A dangerous word. Dangerous in its velvet softness, a word I no longer fear as I think of you in the dark of this morning, before the dawn arrives, and I drive to work with the memory of your hand in mine as we walked toward the fire, where the big-nosed bottles rattled and popped in the flames. This next, I worked at the Brattleboro Retreat for about 15 years, and in different capacities on the units, the inpatient units, and my very last job was working in admissions, where I answered the phone for people who wanted to come in to be for inpatient treatment, or had, a friend or a loved one who needed it. And this is a poem that comes out of that. I worked in the evenings, and the poem comes out of that, but it also talks about poetry and a lot of other things. And a pure, bodiless sound. I'm thinking of the skylight in the cathedral ceiling of your bedroom. How you told me last night as we lay there about the moon shining in the night before, and you couldn't sleep. I remember saying, you should have called me, but I was at work, where it was almost dead, until I gathered up my coat before shutting down my lightless console, and a young woman called, a crisis counselor. She didn't really want to know if we had a bed for her suicidal client, though that's what she asked. She just wanted to hear a voice without a face, a pure, bodiless sound to soothe the strung-out chords of her out-of-tune harp after arguing for hours to keep a boy alive who wanted, with all the anger of adolescence, to die. I listened and said a few words to help her get in tune again, to straighten the tired feathers of her wings. I even stayed on the line like a confessor, an emissary from whatever light shines in the dark closet of the confessional. I listened right up to and past the hour when work and I would both shut down, calling it a night, and she too would leave the emergency room for home and the reel-to-reel replays she'd dream. The business of poetry is not po-biz. I want to say that to remind me how profane the world can be, that even the world of poetry can have this life goes on side to it. Auden's dogs going on with their doggy life, a humanity of who cares seeping in between the lines. And lastly, I want to add just one more thing. I'm not a soft-touch poet with a heart of gold who works in a mental hospital for love. In my work, boys always fall from the sky. The trick is to let them land gently on the page, where the moon I didn't see the other night hangs by its slim thread, but still bright enough to let me see you tossing in its light, restless for all we wish for, even that boy's life. So I sort of have two more poems that I was going to read, and one takes place on the state hospital unit at the Brattleboro Retreat, and which is where the most severely psychotic patients are housed, that are usually housed there for sometimes years at a time. This is entitled The March Hare. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. It was almost the end of the shift, and someone on the muzak above was playing a beat-bop version of Matchmaker when one of the patients sauntered over. Slouching in front of me, he hooked his thumbs into his belt loops, spread his legs apart, and rocked back and forth, copying a kind of wise guy, cowboy attitude. He said he wanted to leave, and he understood the best way to get out of Dodge was to get married, and then he could leave tonight. I could call him a cab, but first I had to find him a woman to marry. He must have been sizing me up all night. I'd been hanging out in a nice comfy armchair with a modern, cartoonish pattern of outsized flowers in a soothing, non-violent color scheme that went well with the rest of the unit's subtle decor. The tune, piping down from the ceiling, changed to something I couldn't recognize, but I was still feeling pretty good. No woman in my life, music in my ears, and until then, a quiet night in the tilting house of the hare. By now, he was looming over me, intently waiting for my answer, all 6'6" of him, and by his girth, a good 450 pounds, maybe more. "Well," I said as I stood up to my full 5'9.5" "let me look into this. I've got to inquire to see who's available. It might take a moment or two, but I'll get right back." And I sauntered out of reach, whistling whatever tune was playing. Maybe Hit the Road Jack, with a fast alto sax squealing out like a tire, or 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, something memorable for one man's desire, but not another's. So my last poem that I'd like to read, which actually was going to be a newer, well, not a new poem, but a poem in my, that isn't in my book, but I think I'm going to drop it and do another poem about an inpatient. And this, I worked for some time, and it was probably the most trying time on the adolescent unit. And I worked there for about a year, and there was one, let me see, I've lost this now here. Let's see, 77, okay. There was one young girl who stayed there for 9 months while she was waiting for placement in a residential program in Florida. And at any rate, I wrote this poem. I've written this poem for her or to her, but she doesn't know that I've ever written it. Fairy tale for a young impatient. Down, down, way down at the very bottom of the old wishing well, the one with the broken crank, no rope and no pail, the one still covered by the quaint, scant roof meant to keep other things out. Down, down to where the memories you keep lie at the bottom like tarnished pennies. One day there will appear a splendid fish, as red and gold as your fabulous cape, my princess, my forlorn one. You will see it swim in the deep, distorting murk we all wish to forget, fluttering its fins like a fledgling, testing its way out of the well, and you will drop a line, a strangling thread from your cape, unspun in desperation, trying once more to reach the bottom to where there are no memories. If you will catch this fish instead, reeling it in like a new story worth telling, unnoticed until now, though it has been there, always been there, flickering about between the dull coins. And after you pull up this fish with its sparkling gossamer fins, you will wrap it gently in the matching colors of your cape, cradle it in your scarred arms all the way up the narrow, insufficient path of your past, with its many twists and turns, along the whole cruelty of that journey, then finally down the other side to a calm place, where the lake water licks the shore in little waves. There you will kneel down and surrender all that you have carried into that clear water, stretching yourself out to swim with the fish, the beautiful one you rescue. There we go. Thank you. Let's see if I can.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah,
So feel free to. You're going to put the link in the chat to get your hands on this beautiful
Well,
book.
actually, I'm going to put a whole bunch of things in the chat here, all in one together here.
Tim has agreed to answer some questions as well.
Yeah. The first will be, well, you'll be able to figure it out, but the first will be, oh dear, let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. The first, you can buy it at Bainbridge Island Press, and that's the hyperlink for that. Then there's my email below that, and below that is my website. But if anybody wanted me to sign something for them, they could probably email me and would arrange a way where they could maybe pay me through PayPal or something like that, and I would sign it for them and mail it to them, something like that.
Cool. The links haven't come through yet, but we'll wait.
Okay, yeah. Then Marjorie Moorhead said that she got hers from bookshop.org, and that's another place you can get it too. And last but not least, oh wait a minute, I didn't put the. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yes, the links were
right.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. All right. Yeah, that silly of me. Yeah. Okay.
Put your social security number in there too.
Right.
So I'll get us started off if you don't mind. The rest of you feel free to use the raise your hand or unmute and just jump right in. But Tim, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about the relationship between the poetry that you write and the process of getting over loss and of grief. Wordsworth said that poetry was the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotion, but recollected in tranquility. Are you writing? Does your writing help you get over grief in the process of grief, or are you like Wordsworth says, from the point of view of tranquility, remembering the actual feeling of grief?
I think to some extent it's more or less recollected in tranquility. I'm not sure that my writing of any, my writing of some of the elegies that are in this, and the one to Pat or to anybody else has really helped me, unburden my grief. I'm not sure of that. I don't know, but it has been important to me. I guess what it is that it's important that I convey to other people what I felt in some way, that these people are important to me. And if you read my book, that's, you should honor that or something. I think that's it.
Yeah, it helps us and lets us know that we're not alone in our
Yeah,
feelings of loss for our loved ones as well.
yeah. I did when I was reading that the poem to Patricia, the meditation on your final moment. I read it in Rutland, Vermont, a week or two ago, and a woman came up to me afterwards and said that she was a death doula and that she thanked me that she wanted to use that particular poem in her work. And I said, well, of course. I don't know whether, I don't know whether I'll ever hear how it worked out or not, but it was very interesting. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, praise, exhalations of astonishment?
Well, it's a wonderful book, Tim.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
reading, and reading.
Thanks a lot. How are you doing, Jeff?
Okay, thank you. Can't move the right side of my face, but other than that,
Um, oh my, really?
Yeah, April, go right ahead.
question.
Tim, that was great. Thank you. I love the title of your book. That is one of the best book titles I have heard. Bravo.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I've tried to not. I mean, I think in the past I had, at certain points, titled a manuscript with one of the titles of the poems, but I've thought that delving from a line in the poem that I think maybe says more about the whole book or something is a better way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
yeah. Thank you.
And that was the perfect line to do. It really speaks for the whole book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's boy, that's a title that gets your attention.
Well, that's great. Now,
Yeah.
that's,
Should sell some books.
right.
I think Penelope has a question as well.
Yeah.
Did you want to unmute yourself, Penelope? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Hi, Tim. I'm glad I can hear you from across the country.
Penelope, how are you? Hi.
Hi, you got to come visit.
I
Anyhow,
will.
glad you took the title from a poem about Pat.
Oh,
That
yeah.
got
Yeah.
to me.
Well, when I had this accident, a number of years ago now, but I'd already written this poem about Pat, but I was thinking a lot about Pat when I was recovering from that accident, about how I wanted. She's the first person. I dedicate the book to her and to several other people, but she's at the top of the list, and she really meant a lot to me. Yeah.
Well, your book meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I don't know. I'm sort of um,
So Pat was a former poet laureate of New Hampshire and was
yeah,
involved in
yeah.
PSNH for many years.
And yeah, I think when I first met her, she was either the poet laureate at the time or had just finished her poet laureateship. I'm not entirely sure. It was right around then. If no one has any questions, I'll read one more poem.
Oh, yeah, we would love to do it.
And this is also a poem from the state hospital unit. And there was a gentleman on there who was, well, he had quite a banter, and I wanted to try to capture a part of that in this poem, and I did not succeed at all because I realized that everything that he was saying was so illogical and had no, that the reader wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. And at any rate, I did get something from it. The title of the poem is A Brief Explanation of the Psychotic Universe. This is how it works. The invisible cause and effect of the universe, that big bang no one has ever heard, emits its waves of singular commands. Then the voices ripple through the cosmos, one by one, whispering their secret orders, which only I can hear, for I am Cassandra. I see them slipping into my ear, shifting with each surreptitious twist of air, skating the thin line between wind and waft, until, with a flutter, a momentary lull settles into my head, telling me it's time. Friends, penitents, suffering pilgrims, all blessed in your hospital blues, listen, for I have heard the universe, the first echoes of its birth, nearing louder and louder with each new gust, and I alone have escaped to tell you. There we go.
Yeah, thank you. That was delightful. That's a poet's poem, isn't it? Yeah. I alone have survived to tell you. Let's all thank. Let's all thank Tim one more time for that really delightful reading.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a delight to see you all, and thanks on behalf of PSNH.
Yes, thank you. And gee, you've recorded this, which is lovely. Thank you so much for doing so. Yeah.
Yes, I'll pass the link on to you when it's
Okay.
on YouTube, and you can send it around to anyone who
Okay.
wasn't able to make it tonight. But
Thank you
and
so much.
yeah, those of you who were able to make it, thank you very much, and thanks
Oh,
to Tim for
yes.
giving us a
Uh,
wonderful night.
And can I get the, is it possible to get the chat? Do I know how to do that?
Listen,
You could
I
save
don't know,
it.
Melissa. Do we know how to?
Isn't there a
Do
way
we
to
know how
save
to?
the chat on your?
There
should be a
is.
way to save it.
Maybe
I
Melissa
thought
knows
it
how to do
saved
that.
automatically, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not sure either. I know I've saved it before
Not
myself,
sure.
but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. But
I'll make sure that I save it before
Oh,
I'm gone,
okay.
and
I can
I'll send it to
manually
you.
save it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
everybody will
Thank you.
save it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to actually read it, but
All right. Yeah.
okay.
I'll save it and then I'll mail it to you too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Thank everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Good to see you,
Yeah. Thank you,
Penelope.
Tim.
Thank you, David.
My
And
pleasure.
yeah, and April, Jeff,
Nice.
Josephine, and other people that I'm, Liz, who I